I'm Tara, and I killed my stepdad in self-defense.
I'm next. Okay. I'm Dana, and my fun fact, I've been to 28 states.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, babies. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
And I had a lovely weekend.
You had a lovely weekend?
I'll just go ahead and say it. I had a lovely weekend.
Tell me all about your lovely weekend.
I didn't do shit, man.
Oh, that's great.
I didn't do shit. I played a lot of that Trek to Yomi.
Okay.
You played any of that Trek to Yomi?
I have not.
That's that Devolver game that looks like an old samurai movie.
Yeah.
And it's real good. It's real good. You know what's interesting about it that nobody's really talking about is everybody's like, oh, it looks just like a movie and it's so cinematic and it like, I don't know, it's like doing its own like crazy wild thing. All it's really doing is bringing back the fixed camera angles of the PS1 and PS2, but doing it in a new style. You know, like the first Devil May Cries and Resident Evils, where it's like every time you walk into a new area, it's just like a very cool angle.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
All right.
But
Which
it's
makes
like
it more cinematic. They got to choose the angle.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, they just wrapped it in a new package, and it's been so long since we've had this that everybody's like, it's new. And also because it doesn't have terrible tank controls.
Right.
Which all of those old games did.
Yes.
Saige.
Yeah.
People are very happy about your shirt, and I know that you are very happy about your shirt.
Thank you very much. I'm wearing my space shirt because last night was the Super Flower Blood Moon Lunar Eclipse.
Let me tell you something. The longer they make these names, the more ho-hum it is when you go out and you look and you're like, yeah, that's a moon. It's red.
That was not my experience at all.
No?
Piss off. Absolutely not.
I'm just saying, when you remember when everything was a super moon? They're like, it's a super moon tonight. You better go outside and look at the super moon. And I would go outside and be like, that's the moon.
And every time I walk outside and go, because the moon is spectacular, and how dare you?
Look, the moon is spectacular, but when it's like a super ultra mega EX plus alpha,
I was not disappointed at all.
I'm not disappointed.
I had a lovely time. I thought it was, my expectations were well managed for it. I love to see the moon. Every night, I love to see the moon.
Do you say good night, moon?
Yes. Every night, I look at the moon and go, oh, no shit. And that's awesome. I think the moon is spectacular every night, and it was extra, very special last night. And I enjoyed the eclipse very, very much. I sat outside and I watched it.
It was a good moon. I'm not saying it wasn't a good moon. I'm saying we just have to like, we don't have to call it something that's 87 syllables. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Keep your cynicism out of my planet.
I'm not being cynical. It's a good moon.
It's a great moon. It was a great moon.
Listen,
I think it was red and then it was gone.
I'm gonna go ahead and say,
and then it was a beautiful full moon after.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the best moon we've got. It's an amazing moon.
Damn good moon.
A #1 moon of Earth.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Is Anthony saying the moon is overrated?
Thank you, Peterloo. I agree with you.
Look, what
a wild statement to make.
I'm just saying, like, you compare our moon to, like, Io, you know, or Ganymede. Like, cool. Like, our moon's pretty cool.
I think our moon's very, very cool.
But, like, you're gonna say our moon's better than Io? Come on. I'm just saying we gotta keep it. We can't keep with this Earth exceptionalism that we have going on, because it's toxic in the long run. We have to admit that there are other moons out there that are great.
You tried. Yeah, you tried. I also had an excellent weekend. We're showing off the full fit now. Spin my skirt around a little bit. There we go. Okay. And I got a tattoo on Friday. I said I was going to do it on the Friday show. And I thought about backing out, not because I was afraid of getting the tattoo. It's my second tattoo. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of a hump to get over because it's been a few years.
Would you say it's been a while?
It's been a while. But it also was like an hour and a half drive. I had to drive down to like South Orange County for it.
Right.
So I almost didn't do it. And I did it, Anthony. I got my tattoo. I got a little ghost. I'm going to Twitch safe show you my new tattoo.
Twitch safe show it.
To the best of my ability. That's not as safe as it could have been. But there it is.
It's a little ghost.
Hi, good morning. Abria's here. Abria's here just in time for me to show a little side boob.
Who? Oh, that young up-and-comer, Abria Iyengar. Listen, if you're not familiar with Abria Iyengar, and most people aren't, you will be soon. She's an up-and-comer. I predict that one day Abria Iyengar will be a pretty big deal in the tabletop space. We got news?
Yeah, we got news.
First of all, look. This is a Nintendo house.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Nintendo house. We have some not so great Nintendo news later, but we do enjoy Nintendo.
Nintendo in this house. I'm a full-out Nintendo stan.
And you might remember that a few years ago, Nintendo said, we're going to do one Zelda game a year. Our goal is one Zelda game a year. It's got such a rich back catalog. You can do so many things with it. Don't worry, while you're waiting on the next Breath of the Wild, there's going to be a Zelda game for you every single year.
About that.
That
hasn't gone spectacularly well. But you know, I've set a lot of like New Year's resolutions that I haven't followed through.
Maybe I'm 90% failed expectations.
Right.
You know what I mean?
One Zelda game a year? Okay. And I said that I was going to buy property, you know?
Yeah. You know?
Right? I was like, I would like to buy property, and I would like to maybe start eating better.
Yeah, I'm going to live a healthy lifestyle.
I'm going to cut out soda.
I'm gonna balance my checkbook. I'm gonna know where my money goes.
I'm gonna stop ordering out food as much.
No,
we didn't follow through, and neither did Nintendo.
Neither did Nintendo. But you know, there has been hope, even though Breath of the Wild 2 has been pushed to 2023.
That's what they had that we didn't.
Yes, there has been hope that some sort of Zelda HD collection is coming. That perhaps it got delayed. You know, it was the 35th anniversary. They didn't do so much. You know, what's happening? So everybody's been searching every potential source they can to try to find out what's going on with this potential Zelda HD collection. Supposedly, it's going to be Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. And so Nintendo Life went right to the source. Tantalus, they have been the developers of all of the HD Zelda games over the last few years, including Breath of the Wild HD for the Wii U. And they said, hey, what's going on? And unfortunately, that developer said, oh, well, you know, we would love to bring that game to the Switch, but Nintendo has not asked.
Uh-oh.
They said,
roll that intro again.
They said, you know, the way it works is we'll jump at any opportunity that we can to work on one of their titles. It's constant dialogue between the two of us. Often there's a little bit of time, and then the email will come, and it'll say something like, would you like to bring Skyward Sword to the Switch? And then it's like, yes, we would. And then we enter into conversation. Basically, he was just talking to say, they haven't asked us. Which, to be fair, sounds like somebody talking around something, but that could also just be me being hopeful. But I was thinking about another thing, Saige.
Either he's talking around it or he's just not great in interviews.
Right. It's one of those two things. Or perhaps a third, which is, you know, they made Twilight Princess HD for the Wii U.
Right.
They made Wind Waker for the Wii U. Maybe Nintendo doesn't need Tantalus to do it again because Tantalus did all of the hardest work bringing it up to HD. Perhaps they are planning on bringing it over themselves now that they have that base to work from.
Interesting.
It's a theory. It's not a
bad theory. And that could also be what these people are talking around. They haven't asked us to do it. They might be aware that it was happening. Oh, great bird just flew by. Sorry.
But also, if Tantalus was working on it, would they say so?
No, but I don't think that they would say Nintendo hasn't asked us.
I don't know.
At least not in conversations they've had with us.
That's what Andrew Garfield said about being Spider-Man. I wish if they called, I'd answer. If they called, I'd do it.
Anthony, did you develop trust issues because of Andrew Garfield saying he wasn't going to be in Spider-Man?
He lied to me, and he's never lied to me before. And I don't know. This is a new shirt, and I don't know what to do with the sleeves.
What's going on here, bud?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure they would be under some kind of NDA. Obviously, they can't say, yes, we're working on it before Nintendo has announced it. But I think there are other ways.
No comment is a yes, though. We all know that a no comment is a yes.
Right. But this is, we'd obviously love to do that, but that hasn't been a priority for Nintendo, or at least not in conversations they've had with us.
I don't know. I would like to think that it's coming. It's probably not coming, but I'd like to think that it was.
If it's coming, my speculation is that these people are not working on it.
Yeah.
That's currently my speculation. I would love to be proved wrong. That would be ideal.
Well, talking about leaks and people not keeping their mouths shut and all kinds of things, there is a remake that we kind of knew was coming, and now we definitely know is coming. Silent Hill 2 is getting a remake, and Konami, our favorite pachinko and laundry machine company who occasionally dabbles in the world of video games, our favorite pachinko company who unfortunately happens to own Castlevania.
Yeah, but not the website.
But not the website, Castlevania.com. They got their Silent Hill remake leaked by Dusk Golem, who is kind of a prolific horror leaker online, which sounds more spooky than it is. It just means a horror leaker sounds like, oh,
yeah,
I don't want to see the production art for that. But here's the thing.
A leaking horror? That's worse.
The leaking horror. That's my favorite Edgar Allan Poe short story. Basically, got a leak that was from 2020, screenshots. Now, here's something interesting. Here's what you don't do. There was copyright strikes, DMCAs, against the tweet, against the media. And Dusk Golem said, well, I can see who DMCA'd me, and it was fucking Konami.
I mean...
So, Konami, I'm just going to listen.
You just confirmed it.
I know you don't know how the internet works. I know you don't know that you can renew a website. We know this. We know
Hire us to set up your auto-renew.
We know that you know. We know that you don't know that you can just buy a .com. You can just have it for $10. Now, if you file a DMCA against an unconfirmed leak, you confirm the leak.
Yeah, you confirmed the leak.
You confirmed that Silent Hill 2 is coming. So basically, they know that it's coming. The screenshots were leaked. It's potentially Bloober Team, which is what's been rumored for a really long time. People have some mixed thoughts about it being Bloober Team. We're probably not going to show the screenshots just because apparently Konami Legal understands what the internet is.
Yeah, right?
But they don't know how to use it, but they know what it is.
We would love to not get hit.
It's around. But the reason why people are a little like, Bloober Team, is because Bloober Team is, of course, most famous for handling The Medium, which did not do very well.
It did not perform very well, but I heard people enjoyed it.
People, like, it has a lot of mixed opinions. And I think people are really concerned that Team, because it says that this Silent Hill 2 remake is going to have reworked combat and puzzles and new areas, and people are worried that Bloober Team is not going to be able to handle that with sort of the panache that the original team was able to handle it with.
And I understand that. Like, look, Silent Hill is going to be one of those games forever ways that people feel very, very protective over. And that only grows as the years pass. People feel more and more of like, you better fucking do it right. So a lot of the time these companies wait, they're like, we don't know how to follow this up. And that like obsessive fandom that feels like they've been attached to this game for so long only gets more and more intense about it.
Yeah.
So honestly, not coming from the original developers of it, those people might never be happy.
Yeah. And I mean, and we know that they're off working on their own things, you know?
And Medium was a very ambitious and interesting game.
I think so too. And I think it's one of those things where you know, when you see, you know, when major movie studios see a director that does like a really interesting indie film, and they go, okay, we're tapping you to direct this big budget summer live
Spider-Man.
action, you know, yeah, this Spider-Man, and like, is it gonna work? Whoa. Thank you very much. We will take this moment to remind you that we do thank everybody who supports us during the show at the end of the show, because the news must flow like the spice, and if we try to stop it, it will only explode. So I think Bloober Team has a lot of great ideas, and they have a lot of like, they did a lot of interesting things within the medium, and perhaps they will be able to take that and like do some better things if they have a little. Who knows how much money Konami is giving them? The last time they remade Silent Hill, they gave them $15.
Yeah.
And it came out poorly.
Right.
So who knows? But
you
I'd
get
like
a
to
popsicle
think,
stick and $26 because we've adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's going to turn out well. It's good to just know that it's coming, unless you're Konami.
Right. And if you wanted to see those leaked photos, which we're not encouraging you to do, but if you wanted to, they are out there.
Mm-hmm. We do know, we saw some character art. It mentions the names for the characters Anita and Maya, and also mentions that SMS messaging is some sort of like major thing in the remake. So who knows? Bringing it up to, you know, it's like that. It's like the classic horror conundrum. Do you set it in modern times?
Yeah.
Or do you set it back before cell phones? And which one works better?
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
I'm usually team set it before cell phones.
Just set it before cell phones. Just set every horror movie and Die Hard before cell. Just boop boop boop. Yeah, there are terrorists in Nakatomi Tower. Okay, thanks. They say they'll be here in 5.
I love having to use a landline in a movie. I think it's great.
I think it's wonderful.
An update to a story that we covered on Friday. We talked about the closed beta for Multiversus. Anthony applied to get into it. Anthony, did you get into the closed beta?
I don't know. I didn't check. I don't know if they've let people know yet.
All right. Well, the closed beta was announced, and now the open beta has also been announced with a very nice little trailer for Multiverses. The open beta will be in July, which is barreling towards us.
That's exciting.
I'm very excited. I did not apply for the closed beta. I don't know if I missed the window, but I'm fine with being in the open.
I love that thanks to like Fortnite and Marvel movies, all you need to do now is be like, and this character winds up somewhere they don't recognize.
Yep.
The end.
That's okay. You don't have to justify that anymore for me.
Yo, I love that Bugs art. That's like some Tex Avery style Bugs. Oh my god,
Arya Stark.
Arya looks so cool.
Yeah, Arya is so cool.
I like Bugs and Arya hanging out together. I don't know why.
I don't like Batman throwing a boomerang
At a little girl?
At Arya Stark. Like, I understand that it's Arya Stark, and we saw a lot of fighting with Arya Stark, but for some reason, as soon as Arya Stark arrived, him just like...
Yeah. He's like, oh no, a little girl showed up.
Right?
A child and a bunny rabbit.
Right? And his automatic response was, let me kill that kid?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. I actually think Batman, that might have been a little hostile.
I also like that Arya Stark knows what a rocket is. There's our girl.
Yeah.
There's Garnet. Yes.
And
Garnet and Jake. This is actually a very good opening film.
it's a very cute cinematic trailer. I just am never going to get over Batman appearing and just being like,
Of course, Harley thinks that it's a hyena.
I love her so much. I'm very excited.
This is very good.
It is excellent.
And here's what I like. It's cartoony artwork, but it doesn't Fortnite me.
No?
No, it
Certain
doesn't.
Characters Fortnite me, but not all of them do.
No, I think Batman's the closest thing to Fortniting me.
Shaggy Fortnites for me.
Really? I think Shaggy looks pretty legit to Shaggy. But it's a little too like exaggerated and cartoony to fit into that standardized. Oh, break it up, Dad's here. No fighting.
Do something boring.
No fighting. Dad's around to break it up.
No fun. Superman's here.
Oh, the Iron Giant. And the Iron Giant has his Superman S. I love it.
That's great. Love the Iron Giant.
I love that the Iron Giant immediately recognizes Superman. Oh, who's the big bad? Who's the big bad?
Ooh.
Velma.
Velma's there. Here, wait. Should we pause on this for a second?
Velma's there.
Let's pause on that for a second.
I think we knew most of these characters. I just don't remember them announcing Velma.
Yeah, Velma's the only surprise here to me as
and
well.
then the character on the far right.
Isn't it the original character?
Yeah, that's the one that's created for Multiverses. That character is apparently from this world that they wind up in.
Yeah, nothing else here seems to
Iron
be a
Not
surprise
So
to
Giant.
me.
Yeah, they definitely took his height down a little bit to make him workable.
That makes sense, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Velma's a surprise to me.
I'm
And
excited.
she's cute.
She's so cute.
Real cute.
Velma's always so cute.
Look. I understand the point of the game is them all fighting each other.
But can they hang out and be friends?
But that opening sequence is so funny. The fact that the one to throw the first punch is Batman, of course.
Like,
oh no, a little girl and a bunny. Ninja star.
yeah, like, come on. What about the 12-year-old girl and the bunny rabbit sets off your detective senses? Like, come on. Like, come on. That's ridiculous. He didn't attack Shaggy.
Yeah.
No, he has to protect the white man. I'm just saying. Batman, listen, Batman's got some implicit biases. We know this about Batman.
We do know this about Batman.
We know this about Batman. Batman's like, well, I got to protect this guy for sure.
From the little girl
From
and the
the
bunny.
little girl. Anyway, I'm excited for Multiverses.
I'm very excited for this game.
I'm excited to beat up Batman with a cartoon rabbit.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of remakes, it's just remake season, I guess.
It is.
Gears of War is potentially getting what they're calling the Master Chief Collection treatment. It's going to be the Thick Necks Collection. It's going to be called Gears of War. All necks, no dads.
Yeah.
And it's going to be it's a gun and a chainsaw. So
perfect.
Listen, the Gears games are incredibly well made. They're fun to play, but like, you're 40-something years old and you got a neck the size of a oil tanker. You gotta let go of the fact that your dad was bad. Like, you just gotta, you know. Basically, Nick Baker of Xbox era claimed that a Master Chief Collection style game is in the works for the Gears of War franchise, and he says that it's coming this year.
I have a lot of bias when it comes to my lack of interest in Gears of War.
Yeah.
There's like just no amount of like anything you could do to make me care about these men.
It's just like just necks and biceps and screaming about your dad, and it was all like brown and bloom lighting. It was honestly from my least favorite time in gaming.
Yeah.
But you know,
chainsaw gun.
Like, it's a gun and a chainsaw because that fucking rules, right? Like, I get it. It's just it's a very dude game, and like,
I hate to have to play a game as a thick-necked man, you know.
Like, the last one was pretty good. I think they're all pretty good. I'm not interested in the aesthetic or the story, right?
Yeah.
And for me, if I'm not interested in the aesthetic and the story and the aesthetic are such a huge part of the game, I can't get past it.
Right.
Did I love playing Horde mode with friends? Absolutely. Have I ever finished a Gears campaign? Absolutely not. I can only get a few hours in before I'm like, okay, Marcus. Okay, Jake the dog.
Yeah. Video games for me, I require to make my eyes happy. Please don't make my eyes happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
So, and I think this would really help, especially with the delay of Starfield and Redfall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got Arcane and Bethesda kind of knocked out of the box for the rest of the year, into early next year. This would be a huge get for them.
Yeah.
If this was coming out, this would be a huge draw. It would certainly sell more Game Pass memberships, which, as we know, is what Microsoft is about these days.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it happen. Was Kate Diaz an interesting protagonist? I don't know. I only played like 2 hours of Gears 5. I don't know.
I'm just not a war games person.
Yeah, but just war is not my thing. I mean, it's against aliens and monsters, which usually helps out, but it's like war and crying about your dad, which is like just the two most boring things I can think of.
Yeah.
You know? But once again, it'll be a big seller, and it's very exciting. It's just maybe not for these two hosts. You know what's for one of these hosts?
What is it?
I want to talk about Zenless Zone Zero.
And it is really just for one of us.
Oh, baby. The Hoyoverse is back. I am so excited.
It's very cute looking.
This is a new game, of course, from the makers of Genshin Impact. And this is like this wild thing where it's very Persona-ish. Like you're teens in like a very cool like Tokyo that like when trouble happens, you put on your crazy mask and get your giant anime weapons and just fuck shit up.
It's very cool looking.
I love how this
look
looks.
excellent.
I mean, and listen, you want to talk about, hey, maybe an aesthetic's not for you? Like
the
Gears
aesthetic
is not for me.
there.
This aesthetic is for me.
Yeah.
If it's not for you, that's fine.
I'm here for this aesthetic. Absolutely.
So of course, because this is MiHoYo, we can assume that this will be this will be gacha based. You will be drawing for these teens, drawing for these heroes, and that it will be online multiplayer. They know that it's coming to PC and iOS. They did not, unlike Genshin Impact, they did not announce Android or any other consoles.
Are they teens?
They're like
Actually?
teens. Some of them are like 20s, I think. But
not
yeah,
actually teens, right?
some of them are teens and 20s. Like I think it goes like all along the spectrum of youths, cool youths. I mean that's anime. I think it looks cool. What? Tell me.
A lot of jiggle physics for animating teens,
Yeah,
just on the feminine characters.
but Kotoruko brings up a good point. No anime characters are older than 25. Unless it's a dad. Or mom.
Right, just because the two white
Or a
guys know
professor.
anime doesn't mean it's okay. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it's okay.
You
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying like this is unfortunately the kind of the state of anime.
Uh-huh.
This is kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I don't need that explained to me.
No, I mean like you know.
Wish they weren't teens.
Sure. I mean they haven't announced specific ages for these characters, so who knows?
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Is where are you getting teens from?
Because they're usually teens. Like in Genshin, it's just like, oh, and this person is 16, and you're like, okay.
Woof. Yeah, Alonzo. I'm
Yeah.
with Alonzo on this. Said just because it is doesn't mean it needs to be.
No, I'm not saying that it needs to be. Believe me, I'm not defending this cultural thing.
Yeah.
That's not a thing that I'm saying. I'm saying, like, unfortunately, it is the state of it.
Anyways. Yeah.
So that is, that you can sign up for that now if you want to.
It's not hard to make characters adults. Speaking of
anime teens, Evangelion and PUBG. Evangelion and PUBG.
Now, this is a very interesting collaboration. I'm sure that PUBG, like, would love for some of those, like, Fortnite level collabs, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're reaching out to be like, hey, guys, like, we collab, too. Like, we can collab. We also collab.
Well, it's kind of wild, right? Because I guess, like, maybe maybe Ava isn't popular enough for Fortnite, right? Like it doesn't have that global popularity of like a Marvel or a Star Wars or something. So
Or an Ariana Grande.
Or an Ariana Grande, but like it's wild that they went with PUBG.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Has PUBG done other collaborations like this in the past?
I don't know. Who knows about PUBG these days?
Certainly not I.
I want to show off some of these things that that you can get in this collab. Kind of interesting. You can get like a plug suit. You can get like
Great.
You can get pen. You can get helmets that are based on the Avas. You can get like angel-based weapons. It's odd to me. Like it's so strange. What?
I think it's kind of cool.
It's very cool. I just like. What's the crossover on audiences?
I'm also curious what the crossover on audience is.
And how big is the PUBG? Well, I know PUBG is bigger. I know PUBG is bigger in sort of in Asia than it is over here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess it makes more sense. But what are the numbers? What is it doing? We're like, I don't know. It's just an odd collaboration. I'm into it.
Yeah.
But it's just an odd thing. I wish they would bring Evangelion to more things. Like everything.
I feel like actually what's very funny is like Ava still has this idea of being this kind of niche popularity, but like
it's the biggest thing.
But it is also the biggest thing.
It's like the biggest thing.
And the collaborations that Ava has done are massive.
And I guess the thing that's like really confusing to me, and maybe this is just my feelings on PUBG leaking through into this story, but they're usually very selective with their collaborations, particularly outside of Asia.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to like digital and fashion collaborations, Ava is usually pretty selective. But then of course within Japan, they're like on phone cards and Tic Tacs and shit. So like I don't know, it's interesting.
Maxter in the live studio audience brings up a good point. You said outside of Asia, as a whole, said PUBG is owned by Bluehole, a Korean company.
Right.
Which is obviously not, within Japan where they seem to be a little looser with the rights, but
yeah, it's interesting. Fraud Monet says they literally have a Schick Razor commercial. Yeah, in Japan they do. Yeah. It's fascinating to me. I don't know. Is anybody still playing PUBG? Let us know if you're playing PUBG.
Yeah, I would love to know. There was somebody who was like, do I have to play PUBG now?
See, and hey, that means it's a successful collab.
That's what they want you to do.
Speaking of online shooters that are still around, Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 players have been organizing a massive protest over the game's bot problem. Apparently, TF2 has been unplayable for years because of the bots. I thought it was just nobody was playing it because
it was Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2. Like, I knew that it had like some hardcore fans that were still kind of into it. But like, Team Fortress 2?
Has enough people to like gather and protest?
But apparently, yes. They're seeing like thousands and thousands. There was a video that was published by Squim Jim, who is a Team Fortress 2 content creator, Mazel Tov, where he basically brought light to this situation and encouraged his audience to reach out to the media and Valve, gave them an email template. Listen, this guy, Squim Jim, studied grassroots organizing.
Man, if Squim Jim organized for things that matter.
If Squim Jim would organize for local elections, listen, if you make an email template, people will send it.
That's very true.
It's very true.
There's 100,000 people in downtown on Saturday.
Yeah. Huge protest. Was it as big as the Team Fortress 2 protest, do you think?
From my experience there, I would say I think they probably came in pretty even.
Maybe pretty big, maybe even
bigger. I went to protest on Saturday. I'd say they were pretty comparable.
So the video, people were sending out like emails. They were talking about it. They were sharing clips of gameplay. And Rebecca Valentine over at IGN was like, "Look, I don't play Team Fortress 2. I'm gonna check this out and see what the deal is." is it really as unplayable as these people are saying, or is this just kind of like a niche community that's like not into something? And she was like, oh no, it's literally unplayable. You cannot play Team Fortress 2 as intended. Like, it is all bots.
Woof.
All bots. Just sniping people the moment they spawn.
Horrific. I'm sorry.
So, you know, Team Fortress 2 is actually still quite popular, which surprised me. It has 70 and 90,000 concurrent players on average, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know? Tell that to Platinum Games. Poor fucking Babylon's Fall. That's a bummer. Sorry, Square. Selling NFT about it. Now, 70 and 90,000 people concurrently. How many of those are bots? That's another thing.
That is another thing.
But that still means if you say like half of them are bots, that still means like 35 and 45,000 people concurrently are playing Team Fortress 2 at any time.
Which is more than I would have guessed.
Which is more than I would have guessed, and it's more than a lot of games.
Yeah.
Especially, this is a 15-year-old game.
Right.
So, I mean, listen. Valve should probably do something about this. We know that Valve isn't interested in making games anymore.
No.
They're interested in making experiments that show off new technology that they can then license to people.
Yep.
And they make 10 to 30% of every video game sold, basically. So they don't need to make games anymore. But if you're going to keep Team Fortress 2 up and active...
Right. Either take it down if you're not going to keep it playable.
Or fix it.
Ideally, just fix it.
Just fix the game if you're going to keep it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what's going on with Team Fortress 2. Man, you remember how big Team Fortress 2 was back in the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
God.
Biggest thing.
You remember the animated shorts? Every time they would drop an animated short,
Yeah.
it's like people credit Overwatch for that, but it was TF2 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, Meet the Spy. I remember cracking up at Meet the Spy.
Well, Anthony, you Beetlejuiced Overwatch. Now we have to talk about Overwatch.
Oh, God.
You did it. You said the name, and now we have to talk about Overwatch.
Oh.
As you know, on this channel, we never will talk about the game of Overwatch. We won't give you any of the update that all of the news publications have been telling you about the new multiplayers. Fuck that shit. Absolutely not.
No.
But we will make fun of Activision Blizzard whenever we can.
Now, you may have heard about this over the weekend. An internal tool leaked. Something that Activision's been saying, we're going to fix things. And an internal tool that they've been using to quote-unquote fix things leaked, and oh, Lord.
So an internal tool that they have been using to develop their games to make sure what they consider to be checking their boxes of diversity is reached based on the diversity of their audience.
This is the Diversity Space Tool. This was leaked, or not, this wasn't leaked, honestly, this was in a blog post by Activision.
Yeah, they posted this. This was like something that they were going to get patted on the back for. This did not leak.
My brain keeps saying leak because how could you be so stupid as to release
You
this?
wouldn't, right?
Now, some people, this is basically, you can see that there is, here is the polyhedron of diversity under which all characters must diverse. And there are several ways that we can be diverse. And we know that these are all the ways that anyone can be diverse. And this is it. So you have culture, ethnicity, age, ability, body type, gender identity, and sexual orientation. When they come together, they form Captain Planet.
And characters are graded when they're created by these pillars of diversity.
Now, the baseline of this, what Activision was saying was, this is good. This is a tool that makes sure that we are not designing characters based only around our implicit biases. We can look at the polyhedron of diversity and say, oh no, we have not diversed this character
If I
enough.
don't look at the chart, I'll forget that diversity exists.
Right, which was basically everybody replied, hey, what if you hired diverse employees and put them in positions...
Just hire some people of color.
Where, what if you just gave more people or different people what if you... Yeah, Lanky Dragon says Activision expected applause for their race tier list.
Literally! way.
This is like phrenology. You know what I mean? This is like, well, you can tell by the lumps of the head whether this person is smart or dumb. Like, this is very bad.
This is so fucking trash. And like, look, nobody is surprised, right, that Activision Blizzard is complete fucking garbage. We know this. We know that internally they are garbage and externally they are garbage. But man, they really did say the quiet part out loud.
If somebody doesn't create an indie game based around hunting for the polyhedron of diversity now, like, I really want an itch.io game to show up by the end of the week where it's like the search for the polyhedron of diversity.
Oh god.
I want that parody game. So this, got all of the backlash that it should have gotten over the weekend.
They get points assigned for diversity. They literally assign the characters points for diversity.
You have to have a certain number of diversity points.
The idea of having to have a tool to remember to put people of color in your game, burn this company to the ground.
Now, even though Activision took the images down, the Overwatch's Ana was in the demonstration, and her chart showed that the character got like a 0 for sexual orientation, but a 7 for race, which is why Ana's a good character. And basically, after the backlash over this, even though the Activision CEO said, we're using this and look at how cool this is, an updated post came out that said, oh, no, this is not what, we don't use it. It's not something that we use for development of games. No, it was just it was like a weird thought experiment that we did. It was just like a cool little thing that we do. Like, it's not. No, did we say that we use it? I don't think we ever said that we use it. Why would we use it? We just
said we did.
We just made it for no reason. We just made it for no reason. It's fucking wild. I can't. The amount of things they've dug themselves so deep into the hole of awfulness that they think that just because they're. Now, let me use my chart of awfulness. I have a pit of awfulness that I use to rate how awful people are.
Uh-huh.
And Activision is down at a 10,
mm-hmm.
which is the most awful.
Yeah.
I call it the Allegheny scale.
Right.
They're in the 10th circle of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they think because they're saying they're doing something that's only 7 horrible, that they're getting better, and they should be praised. They put out a blog post saying, look, we're only 7 horrible now. And it's like, no, that's still horrible. You're still being horrible. You need to post something where you're not being horrible.
Here's the thing. You can't even do something neutral anymore.
No, neutral is no good. Neutral is no good.
You can't just be not horrible. You would have to actively. And that's never going to happen. Burn Activision Blizzard to the ground. This is your too often reminder. There's so many video games. You don't have to play Call of Duty.
Oh my gosh, there's so many video games.
You don't have to play the new Overwatch. All of these fucking publications, it feels like they've just forgotten. It feels like especially on the Blizzard side.
They just cover this stuff because they've always covered this stuff.
Right. And they're just covering the Overwatch 2 betas and they're covering all of the new multiplayer. I see streamers just streaming Overwatch again and I'm just like, guys.
Overwatch 2 had like an insane, the Overwatch 2 beta was everywhere, and then the week later, it fell off. Because here's the thing. Nobody actually wants to play it, and nobody wants to promote Activision. They all just think that they have to, because if they don't, they'll lose the numbers and the clicks and the subs and whatever else. But honestly, there was a whole thing about the numbers of Overwatch 2 where like players and coverage of Overwatch 2 after that first beta day where everybody was streaming dropped off by like 90%. Overwatch is the NFT of games. Like, you don't have to just stream it because you believe it should be, like, maybe people will want you to stream it. There's so many good games.
And also, like, I don't know, try a spine sometime.
Hey.
It might fit nicely.
Don't do, like, hey, I'll give you the same advice that I gave Activision. You don't just do something a little less terrible. Just do something good. You can stream so many things.
Jeff Kaplan.
Particularly, like, I'm talking to the independent streamers and the smaller outlets where it's like run by 4 people or you know what I mean? Like these smaller teams that were doing it. It's like, you have all the control. That's why you don't work at a major outlet. If you have all the control.
I'm talking to the major outlets too.
Oh, the major outlets too. But I'm especially like bummed at the people who have full control over everything they do. They have this full autonomy.
Yeah.
They left to have full autonomy and do things the way they want to do things. And the way they want to do things is exactly the same as these giant fucking publishers. Fucking let it go.
Jeff Kaplan, the previous Overwatch director, was quoted previously saying, would hate for the diversity to ever feel like pandering, like we just had this spreadsheet with a bunch of checkboxes. And it feels like he was referencing something.
It felt like Jeff Kaplan was like nudging and winking towards the camera when he said that. He was like, I would hate for diversity to be like in a polyhedron. And then he jetpack disappeared from Activision.
Right.
But you mentioned Call of Duty.
Hate that I did, but yeah.
And what I want to say is, when you said, oh, you don't have to play Call of Duty, you don't have to play these games, here's something that's lovely. A lot of people just aren't anymore.
And I do love that.
According to current NPD numbers, the top selling video games year to date in 2022, number 1, is the motherfucking Elden Ring.
That's not surprising at all.
Souls is now legitimately the thing. We did it.
You said that like Dark Souls 3 wasn't massive.
Dark Souls 3 was massive, but it didn't do these numbers. Elden Ring has sold in 6 months half the numbers of the total Dark Souls franchise. It has sold as much as all 3 Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne total in 6 months.
Yeah.
It is fucking huge. And Lego Skywalker is number 2. Do you know where Call of Duty fucking Vanguard is? Down at 5. It has never been that low. What do you got?
Why are our lists different?
I don't know. Yeah, I got 5.
And I clicked on the
Oh,
thing.
I'm sorry. That's the rank last month. Vanguard is number 7.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because currently for this new month, Lego Skywalker Saga took number 1.
Lego took number 1 for this month.
Very cool. I just went off the link that was in here.
Lego took number 1 this month. I'm looking down at the year to date.
Oh.
Because this
that's
is
for this year so far, and that
this
makes
year.
perfect sense.
Yeah, this
will
year
find that.
is Call of Duty
There it
Vanguard is down at number 7. So the top 5 selling games of this year so far: Elden Ring, Lego Skywalker, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Horizon 2, MLB The Show 22.
Okay.
Those are the top 5. Number 6, Gran Turismo 7. And then number 7, Call of Duty Vanguard.
This is year to date, right?
This is year to date.
Yeah.
I want to say the last 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Madden NFL, Mario Kart 8. The number of games Nintendo consistently has
Can keep on a top 10.
and the fact that Mario Kart 8,
which is not a new game.
I mean, they obviously announced new content, new tracks, new characters.
But again, this is year to date for this entirety of 2022 so far.
This is huge. I love that Vanguard I don't love that it flopped. I don't love that for the people that worked on Vanguard. I don't love that for, obviously video games don't come out of a vacuum, but
Sure, but they got paid already.
But they got paid. And
not well enough. So
you know what? I'm glad that Call of Duty's slipping.
Here is your reminder that the developers, like people who were artists on the game and stuff like that, in 99% of games, particularly AAA, don't make money when you play their game.
No.
There are bonuses usually for the top executives that didn't actually make the game. The people who benefit and make money when you play the game are the biggest, evilest corporate people at the very, very top.
Yeah.
The other people who actually worked on the game, we don't feel bad that people didn't play their game.
Yeah, like I saw something the other day. A YouTuber that I watch occasionally released a video about how SNK was recently bought out by literally the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Like the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia owns 96% of SNK.
Okay.
And this YouTuber said, I'm not going to cover SNK games anymore. This is a pretty horrible regime, and I'm not going to back it. And the number of like neckbeard video game apologists that came in and were like, but the developers worked really hard and it's not their fault. It's like, no, but they're also getting paid.
Yes.
And like number two, they were like, well, the Saudi Arabia owns like 5% of Capcom. Are you going to talk about Capcom anymore? And it's like, there's a difference between, and he was like, look, there's a difference between 5% and 96.5%.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference. They're like, but where's the line? And it's like, hey, I'm literally just saying this is pretty bad, and maybe you shouldn't play their games anymore. You do you.
Right.
But don't tell me that I'm being that I'm being wild for bringing this up. And it's the same thing with these like huge corporations. It's like, I know a lot of people that work at these companies, and these people have all said, look, it's a little bit of a bummer to work at this place because we have to, and I'll leave as soon as I can.
Yeah.
But like, I'm getting paid. I'm doing my job and I'm getting paid, and I'll leave when I have to. And I understand that nobody wants to play the game right now.
Look,
it's tough to put my all into something right now, but hey, also don't put your all into it if you work for a terrible corporation.
here's what I'll say. I worked very, very hard at Comcast.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, guys, please, you need to give your money to Comcast.
Mm-mm. Nope.
No, I made a salary.
Look, if you made a cool gun in Call of Duty, feel proud of making your cool gun and get out of Activision as soon as you can.
There's the work that we want to do, and then there's the work that we have to do.
But also, I think Call of Duty it's just, we're talking about the time of the shoot men being over, and it sort of is. The time of the gritty shoot men, there's always going to be a place for it. There will always be an audience for it, but it's just not the dominant thing anymore. Your traditional first-person shooter is not the dominant thing anymore.
No, Nesuno says it exactly correctly. It's Fortnite now.
Yeah. Hey, surprisingly, everybody wanted their games to be like more fun.
Huh.
Weird.
Want video games to be fun?
It's strange. In more, well, yeah, we did kind of touch on this. Lego Star Wars is the first non-Nintendo game to top the Switch sales charts in over a year. That's a pretty big deal. Nintendo usually dominates the Nintendo charts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nintendo is all
They've
about
cornered their own market.
Yeah, they're about the strength of their first-party games. They always have been. So to see Lego Skywalker, which, by the way, just an amazing game and one of the best Star Wars games ever made, I think. To see it topping the charts there is pretty huge, especially because Nintendo has not been slouching with new releases this year. You've got your Pokemon games. You've got your Kirby. There are big games. Of course you've got your Mario Kart 8.
So, top 8 games of the year.
So it's pretty exciting that this third-party game is up at the top of the charts. You know, we were talking last week. The Switch is slowing down, but not really. Only a little.
Yeah.
Only a little. They can keep printing money for a couple years.
They sure can. And so we will continue to the next story about Nintendo. You may have seen in the news, I believe it started last month, a former Nintendo employee filed a National Labor Relations Board complaint about unsafe working environments.
This has a lot to do with
union busting.
Yeah, this has a lot to do with the difference. There's kind of like the employees call it like a caste system or a class system within Nintendo.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to acknowledge something in the chat really quick. Cassidy Weaver makes an excellent point that I think is very important before it scrolls on by. Comcast is also financially supporting the repeal of Roe v. Wade. Fuck Comcast.
Fuck Comcast.
Fuck Comcast.
So this labor board complaint is about basically the difference between what's called a red badge and a blue badge at Nintendo. Red badges are full-time employees. Blue badges are contractors. Now, anytime you see or hear about the beautiful Nintendo campus, all of the wonderful things that Nintendo employees get, how well they're all treated, the way the organization works, and how everybody feels kind of respected and people stay there for their whole lives because it's wonderful. That's they're talking about red badges. Blue badges don't work at that beautiful campus. They work in a shitty old building right across the street.
Yeah.
That they get treated horribly.
Mm-hmm.
They are told that basically, I mean, they work incredibly long hours. They work crunch. They get underpaid. We have stories about employees who have like family members die, and they're told like, "Hey, I need to take a week off. I had a family member die," and they're like, "Well, there won't be a job for you when you come back."
Yes.
I have to go to the funeral. There will not be a job for you when you come back. That's the way the contractors at Nintendo are treated.
Yes.
And they're kind of put on this horrible treadmill that is told, and they're told, if you work hard enough, we've seen this in every fucking class system since the beginning of time. If you run hard enough on the treadmill, we'll let you off the treadmill and you can be one of us. If you work really hard as a blue badge, you can become a red badge. But also, there are tons of internal documents that say never put a blue badge, never make them a full-time employee. Keep them a contractor.
And look, as a contract employee in general, I'm a freelancer. That is the thing that most companies will do to you. They'll say, "Hey, could you just work and do everything that an employee does?"
And then more.
And then often more because you don't really get the same protections and regulations that an employee does, but no health care, no guarantee of payment, no, communication and expectations will be provided from the company.
Independent contractors and contract employees do not fall under labor laws.
Correct.
That allow, which is why, there was that big like landmark lawsuit where Uber wanted to keep their drivers independent contractors because you do not have to provide protections or benefits of any kind to an independent contractor.
And they will dangle full-time employment over your head so that you will stick around and deal with it. To go, well then, I mean, if I do a good job, then they'll give me the health insurance that I desperately need to pay for my prescription medication.
And they know that people have lifelong dreams of working for Nintendo.
Yep.
They know that. And they're told, "Hey, if you leave, there are 20 other people who want to work for Nintendo, and we'll just bring one of them in."
Hey, Anthony, would you like a labor rights fun fact?
I would love a labor rights fun fact.
Labor safety and labor rights are measured on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being...
Is this on a polyhedron?
Is not on a polyhedron, unfortunately.
Okay.
But countries with the best access to labor rights now, these are based on things like workers' abilities to gather and unionize, treatment, hours worked, etc.
I know this fact. I love this fact. Keep going.
Okay, so they're ranked on a scale of 1 to 5. The countries in the 1 category have the best treatment for workers in their country. And 5th being the worst countries in the world to be a laborer.
USA.
Oh, we're not in category 1.
USA.
We're not in category 2.
USA.
We're not in category 3.
Did I already do 1?
Yes, you did.
USA.
We are in category number 4. There's only like 5 countries in category 5, mind you.
Right. I would imagine that 5 is like, enjoy your Nikes.
It's a very small category. We are ranked under a lot of the countries that you consider, like that you think about labor violations for. A lot of people associate, for some reason, China with labor violations, even though China greatly exceeds our labor rights.
We're not worst.
5 is not China.
Worst.
China is ranked significantly above the United States in their labor rights. They generally have shorter work weeks, more livable wages, and better abilities to unionize than the United States of America. The idea that we are a good place to be is literally made up.
And when everybody's like, look at how these poor workers are treated in China, those are some horrible things, and they are real, but those are not among the best or even the medium places to work in China.
As of, I want to say it was 2009, and I might be incorrect on that year, but as of about 2009, China reworked massively the structure of their labor. So the expectations and the things that people know about Chinese labor in particular is also very, very dated.
Yeah.
And they well exceeded us by putting in place a bunch of protections for workers that we do not have.
The issue is China sends out a lot of propaganda, and we refuse it because it's propaganda, but then we create our own counter propaganda about them. Such is the nature of strained political relationships. And listen, it ain't cool to be an employee in America, and the sooner we all realize that and band together, the sooner we can fix it. Nobody is going to fix it just because we go, oh, geez, this could be better.
There are sweatshops in Los Angeles, California.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Everybody, if you look at a product and it says made in China on it, and that makes you feel like it would be of lesser quality, that is a combination of racism and propaganda. Anyways.
Moving on to some other news. Hey, this is not big news, I don't think, on its own, but I think it's interesting news when you look at it in the whole.
Okay.
M.O.D.O.K was canceled over at Hulu. You may say, oh shit, M.O.D.O.K happened?
I completely forgot about M.O.D.O.K as soon as it happened.
M.O.D.O.K did indeed happen. They did one season of M.O.D.O.K. It was pretty funny. It was cute. It's one of those things where, like, had it come out like 5-10 years ago, I think it would have been like way more groundbreaking. But it was definitely like, you know, it was Stupid Buddies. That's the studio that does Robot Chicken. It's Patton Oswalt. And so it kind of has the sense of humor that you would expect. That sort of like early Adult Swim random humor, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of like snark. It was good. It was very funny. But it was also the last non-Disney Plus, non-Marvel Studios show that was on any other network.
Very interesting.
This is the last of it. And it was originally supposed to be part of a few shows. Now, there was going to be Hitmonkey, which did come out. But then there was also going to be a Howard the Duck animated series and Tigra and Dazzler.
Interesting.
Which were their sort of this was supposed to be sort of like the jokey cartoon universe.
Right. They're like slightly more adult cartoon.
Right. Like
compete with your Harley Quinn.
To me it had like a very Birdman sort of feel. You remember, like it had a feel of like the Birdman universe. And Howard the Duck and Tigra and Dazzler were canceled before they even came out.
Right.
There's a finished season of Howard the Duck and Tigra and Dazzler out there somewhere, or at least pilots. Now, Hitmonkey made it for 2 seasons. M.O.D.O.K made it for 1. But we've seen this, even though Disney owns a percentage of Hulu, and even though Disney owns the majority of ABC, we see them pulling out and putting all of this stuff, consolidating around Disney Plus. There's not going to be any Marvel stuff anymore that doesn't fall under the Disney Plus or Disney banner.
Which I'm not surprised by.
No.
And I also don't really have an issue with it.
No, I think, and listen, there's a lot of the reason that this stuff didn't take off is because Marvel Studios wasn't fully in love with it, right? Kevin Feige and everybody at Marvel Studios, at the cinematic studios, was not super happy about the television stuff. They weren't, they've made no secret of the fact that, like, they weren't super into the Netflix stuff. They weren't super into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter. And particularly, I think Feige wanted a couple of those characters back under the studio banner. Like, you wanted Daredevil back, obviously. You know, a couple other characters. So it's kind of interesting to watch them consolidate. I feel like if they had given their all to some of this stuff, it would have turned out much better.
I agree. I do think that there are a little bit of half measures for sure. But it was also very interesting timing when they announced M.O.D.O.K. I was like,
it was clearly like the very last thing that snuck in.
Exactly. And like M.O.D.O.K. also, when they announced it, wasn't something that was like super appealing to me. It wasn't something that like I was not the target demographic for. I didn't find the trailers terribly compelling. The humor was not particularly mine. So I'm not surprised it got canceled. I'm not surprised that they're consolidating into Disney Plus, because I also don't have a problem with them like putting their own IP on their own streaming platform. The streaming platform is already big enough. If I get annoyed when like all of these smaller things keep making more and more of them, but personally, Disney is a big enough library that I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's an interesting business decision for Disney still having an ownership stake in these platforms. I would not be shocked to see Disney in the next couple years. Like right now they have that cool like Disney Plus pass or whatever where you can have Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN all for one price. I would not be surprised to see that in a few years go away and watch Disney quietly sell its percentage of Hulu. I think right now Hulu is something that Disney owns just in case Disney Plus does not continue to do well. So they have like, hey, whichever of these platforms takes off, we're on board.
Sure.
Sort of hedging their bets. But I have a feeling they're gonna pull out of Hulu. They'll keep only their ABC stuff on Hulu. And even then, I think they'd like to just put ABC stuff on Disney Plus the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's all gonna move to that. They just did Dancing with the Stars has moved to Disney Plus.
Really?
And it's their first live, like it airs live on Disney Plus. So they're clearly like moving the technology and moving everything over.
Has any streaming service done like
I don't think it's
live airing?
I think
or does it come out right after?
There have been specials and stuff that have aired live, but I don't think any network has done a live to streaming. No streaming service has done that.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that. I think that that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, they're making moves. They're making moves, and I think they are not long for Hulu or even maybe like terrestrial television. I would not be shocked if like in the next 10 years you see Disney start selling off ABC piecemeal.
I would see that. Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes sense. Gigaloop said that the final of Eurovision was live on Peacock.
That's so fascinating that it went to Peacock. Because it was on YouTube for the last couple of years, and that's how I've been watching it.
Interesting.
The first time I ever saw Eurovision was like 2015 in like a bar in Germany. Like I had known about Eurovision, and I had seen like highlight clips.
Yeah.
But there was no way to really watch it. And I was doing like 3 countries in Europe during Eurovision. And I was just like, every night I was watching Eurovision. It was like, do you want to go see the country? I was like, I want to see Eurovision. I was like, we can watch Eurovision from a bar. I think the best way to see Europe is to watch Eurovision in local pubs and just watch everybody react.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had such a fun time.
Here's a reminder that Peacock is part of Comcast. Anyways.
NBC Comcast.
Same building.
In very, very big for us. For us news. Look, a lot of things are happening with Doctor Who right now. We got that good boy Cootie as the new Doctor. We've got Russell Davies coming back as the showrunner. But this weekend, we got some big news, Saige.
We got some big news. I teared up a little bit, if I'm honest, when I saw David Tennant and Catherine Tate returning to Doctor Who.
Now, I saw that headline. And I said, this is one of those bait and switch BBC
it's gonna be
radio
one of those
headlines.
Radios. Yep, it's going to be a live radio play.
They're doing, or it's like, it's some fundraiser and like, great, I want that. But like, no, this is, hey, you know what's going on is they are coming back. They're filming scenes that are going to air in 2023 that are going to coincide with the 60th anniversary. These are scenes that will appear in the show. Russell Davies says they're back and it looks impossible. First, we announce a new doctor and then an old doctor, along with the wonderful Donna. What on earth is happening? Maybe this is a missing story or a parallel world or a dream or a trick or a flashback. The only thing I can confirm is that it's going to be spectacular as 2 of our greatest stars unite for the battle of a lifetime.
I'm so intrigued. Do you think we're multiversing?
I think this is going to be one of those things, the 50th anniversary. Was the day of the Doctor. And they brought back as many of the living Doctors who would come back. Christopher Eccleston. He's got a better attitude about it now, but he did not have a good attitude about it on the 50th anniversary, and I was not okay with that. They brought them all back, for the whole Gallifrey lives, Gallifrey stands.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if the living Doctors reunited for just a little bit, and it's lovely to me if whenever they meet up at whatever point in the time stream it is, that it's a time when the Doctor is with Donna, who is my favorite companion.
That's your favorite?
I fucking love Donna Noble.
I love Donna. Donna's not my number 1.
Is it Rose?
Yeah, it's Rose.
Yeah. Listen, Rose was an amazing love story. And I think as like a love story for the Doctor, it's unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Donna's my favorite like companion.
I love Rose also because of the grounding effect. And I understand that Donna also checks that box as well, which is why I also love Donna. I do. But Rose, having been somebody who they were just like, yeah, she's very fucking normal and like what they consider to be a little bit trashy in her home life, where they set up like her and her mom. Like, to show David Tennant, for David Tennant's Doctor in particular, and to show the Doctor's love for humans and the simplicities of humans and the weirdness and the quirkiness of humans, I don't think any combination of Doctor and companion showed it better than Tennant and Rose.
She humanized him.
She humanized him in the most effective way, and it just let him really thrive on like a, no, I really mean it. I fucking love you weird humans.
It was so good, and it set up the entire tone for the character as we know it today. I do just love, and like the Doctor and Donna relationship couldn't have worked if Rose had not come first. Yeah. But the Doctor Donna relationship of Donna Noble, who is literally like, no, you don't understand. Like, I don't care about any of this. Like, whereas Rose was like,
same giggle loop
with Rose, where he was like, let me show you the end of time, and she was like, oh my God, we can go to the end. I don't even. And he's like, I'm going to show you a planet where they do this. And she's like, I don't care. They don't have air conditioning. I want this sort of food. Like, she's just very like, you think a lot of yourself, don't you? And I appreciate that
aspect. She was a little too cynical for me to be my favorite.
But the way she opens up towards the end and becomes a better person.
I liked the way she sassed the Doctor.
Yes.
I did like that very, very much. I also like Clara as well. Yeah. Clara's up there for me.
Clara's like,
Clara's up there for me.
Clara overstayed her welcome, I think, for me. For me, just the way we've talked about this. I don't need to get into my Clara stuff.
Anyways, it's very exciting that they're back. Somebody did bring this up in the audience. Yes, Donna had her memory wiped at the end of Donna's arc. And the Doctor said, leaving her back with her family. If she remembers this, she'll die. Like, she cannot ever remember that this happened.
Which is why I think this is something that if they appear, it will be from a time before that. It will be while they are still bouncing around adventuring.
Now, that's very interesting, obviously, because like they will have both aged pretty significantly. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
So having them play from that time, I mean, it would require just like a little suspension of disbelief, realistically. Which I'm not against.
They've done it before. I mean, how many times have they brought back 4 and he just keeps getting older and older, you know?
Yeah. So I'm not against that, but I'm also intrigued to see if there is some kind of like bigger thing.
I wonder if evil Morbius will be there. Maybe evil Morbius will show up.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe because now that he's an evil Morbius and he's a Hollywood boy, will he show up? I think he will.
Yeah?
I think he'd come back. He liked playing the Dr. Matt Smith. He enjoyed it. I think he would come back for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he is an evil Morbius now.
Right.
So how does that factor in? And his thirst for human blood.
Matt Smith might be busy being Targaryen.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. They're done with it. It's fine.
He's a Targaryen.
But he is also a Targaryen now.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was our last piece of news, and that is a good place to end the show. We love Doctor Who in this house. I'm very excited.
Do we ever? Folks, thank you so much for being here. We want to give a big thank you to everyone who supported us throughout the show. We're going to do a big roll call. We saw you all, and you've been particularly generous today, and we thank you for it. But before we do that, Saige?
Yes.
What's your life about?
What is my life about? Mostly listening to anarcho-communism podcasts about prison abolition these days. But other than that, you can find me everywhere on the internet at @NotSage. I'm streaming on my channel later today at 4 p.m. Pacific. On Saturday, we raised over $1,700 for the Lilith Fund on the premiere of Damsels, Dice, and Everything Nice. That show will be live here on this channel at 6 p.m. every Saturday.
Are the Indigo Girls playing the Lilith Fund this year?
The Lilith Fund is an important organization, a multilingual network that provides access to abortions and reproductive health care for all people that need it, helping them whether it's traveling to other states to get it, or just providing access financially. So
it's an
there's
excellent cause, and y'all did such a good job.
and the link pops up in our chat. We have a timer that'll be going that just goes to information about the Lilith Fund, so you can check it out there, whether you need it for yourself or you want to support someone else.
Yay! You can find. Wait, did you say everything?
Yeah, that's enough.
That's everything? Okay.
That's what matters.
You can find me everywhere online at Carboni, except for on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. Twitch, you cowards, it's mine. Give it back to me. We're going to do a little video party tonight, probably around 7 p.m. Pacific time. So come watch videos and hang out. And yeah, that's about it for me, too.
All right.
Yeah. Let's give a big thank you to everybody who supported us during the show. Now, remember, if you supported us during past shows or any time during the past in any way, we give a big thank you to you as well. We just want to give a shout out to everyone who supported us during this specific episode of It's Too Early. Will Mull with the gifted sub to Wimpy Warrior 009. Cassidy Weaver with the resub for 18 months saying, my sub is finally old enough to vote in Pixel Circus elections. That's true. Even toddlers are allowed a say here at Pixel Circus. And usually what they say is, G-Rex13 has resubscribed for 15 months. Luceratops with the Prime sub, taking money out of the Beezy pockets. Zomino tipping $50.31, saying Bloodflower, Full Clips, Big Pen, Dragon Fruit, Panda Vinyl, Moon.
I love that song.
Yeah, that's a Nick Drake song, I think. Hardliner with the $100 tip. Thank you so much for your generosity. Saying, thank you for your hard work, Dagger. This motherfucker's napping during the show. Can you believe it? What kind of producer is this guy? Martinis for 2 at 6, gifting the sub to Carl Cypher. Thank you so much. Skywalker9982 gifting a sub to AZ Canada. And Martinis for 2 cheering with 200 bits. Thank you so much. Due Recompense with the Prime sub, taking a little money out of the BZ pocket. Skywalker9982 with the gift sub to Quiddy.
Hey,
thank you very much. Flannel Fries with the resub for 19 months. Saying, listen, hanging out is fun, but I can't get tied down. It's not you. Long-term just doesn't work for me. No, that's cool. Just a quick 19 months. Just a short 19 months.
Short 19 months.
Just
and hey, you know, it's been a fun
really.
one. Yeah.
A fling, really.
Truly. And we are caught up.
We are all caught up. Thank you, everybody. Now, remember, when you donate your dollars and you see that sugar breakfast bar go up, that money goes directly to your hosts. That's me and Saige. We are mostly unemployed, so thank you so much for all of your generosity there. And then if you sub, or if you give bits, or if you subscribe to the Patreon, which is huge, and you get extra stuff, all that goes to the network, to this rickety little shed, so we can buy new equipment and also just keep the lights on here in the rickety little shed.
Thank you all very much for supporting us, and y'all, not just in financial ways, showing up for the show. We do the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. And being here is the #1 thing that you can do to make this show possible. You can join the Discord because it's literally free. It's not even subgated. You don't have to do anything for it. We also appreciate the people who open up the discussions in the Discord, suggesting stories that they want to hear us talk about. That's also excellent. Just helps us to engage with you a little more. Thank you to Pax for suggesting the story about David Tennant, of course, and Catherine Tate. And also a big thank you to Cuban, so appreciated, for dropping that Multiverses trailer. Very cool of you. Y'all contributed to the show today.
Yay! Do our jobs. Do our jobs for us. Do our jobs for us.
And also thank you to Skywalker for those Lego stories that we covered on the Patreon this week. That is up there now. We talked about how to store Legos. We mostly asked how to store Legos on the Patreon this week.
Swallow them.
And that's the conclusion that we came to. Find out by subscribing on Patreon for $5 a month. Have a wonderful rest of your day, BBs. Take care of yourselves.
Bye, BBs.
We'll see
we
you on
love
Wednesday.
you.
Bye.